Hey everybody, we are live tonight, Tuesday, whatever today's date is, because I've already forgotten. Anyhow, want to tell everybody we appreciate you guys coming online. Share this thing up for us, please, sir. Please, ma'am. Click the share button, share it around the old Facebook world so we can get some people in here. Make sure that you sign up with your username, I believe it is, or an email address, so we know who you are when you're presenting your comments. We've got a really good show tonight. Hey, what's up, Robert Weicker? Good seeing you, buddy. Tonight's going to be a great event. We are talking with Marvin Forte from out in the Pacific Northwest area. He's been around for a number of years, and he took over the area up there from Aaron Roberts. We're going to bring him on live in just a minute and talk about some cool stuff. He's running several events up there. He's been around for quite a while, 2018, 2019, but want to bring him on and let's get his perspective on the tournament director arena, and hopefully we can learn from some of this stuff. And hey, Tyler Caldwell, good to see you, buddy. And so let's get this thing switched over here and let's bring him on board. Hey, buddy, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am good. I got to figure out how to get this. Hold on just a second. Dadgum, I've already forgotten all this stuff. Give me a sec.
Here it comes.
That's all right. We'll talk. I'll figure it out here in a minute. So tonight we're talking to Marvin Forte from out at I call it Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure what he calls it.
That's right.
But he's got kayak fishing Northwest. He's got Oregon. He's got Idaho. He's got all the things going on out there. We're having a conversation tonight about it, and let me tell you what. That's better.
The bricks.
Figure out where
bricks
that
are
button
back.
was. Yeah, the bricks are back. We were just having a conversation a little while ago about when he started and how it all began out there, and Aaron Roberts was the original that kicked it off in the Northwest, and I think with Tourney X, and then Marvin took over and has built it where it is today. And he is a wealth of information. I think I call Marvin at least 3 times a week. We just 2-3 times a week. We just like to shoot
Sometimes.
the bull, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And
I remember driving back from Idaho at an event, and you called me and we talked for, I don't know, I was on the road driving. So we talked for like an hour and a half about ideas and different things we were going to do. I kept losing signal. I'd have to call you right back. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such a, Marvin's got a wealth of information as far as on the website side and tournament side and ideas. And he's almost like a mad scientist out that way. You know what I'm saying? And he comes up with new ideas. He's got a wealth of people that are around him that help him out. He's built a great group of guys that help run the show out there. And we wanted to bring him on tonight and visit with him and pick his brain. And so I'm going to ask him a few questions to get started and kind of get things limbered up here. We're going to be here for a little bit of time. And I know he runs tournaments, but do you fish? That's one of the things. I know you fish, but I don't know if you compete.
I do currently. That will get exceedingly difficult. I'd say the bigger we get and the more we do, it gets harder and harder. And I know some other directors have stepped away from competing in events. We have kind of a sweet setup here with the way we do it. So the structure of what we do, we have 3 divisions in 3 different states for our regular events. We've got Oregon, where I'm at, Washington, and Idaho, and then KFNW is is sort of the parent organization for all those, the governing body. And then the cool thing is, like when we do an event in Oregon, I've got 2 other TDs in other states that can judge for me. And when they're doing an event, I'm judging for them. So it's the same thing. It's kind of a round robin deal. Instead of us having to use outside judges or, we certainly don't judge our own events that we're competing in. We really don't do that. We avoid that. But yeah, as things grow, I don't know. It's going to be tougher for me to continue to compete and fish, I think.
Yeah. And so looking at some of your stats you sent me, which is kind of cool, man, and the guy just like spread it out here for me, and it'd be cool just to go down the list here. But it says last year you guys paid out over $45,000 in 2021
That's
and
right.
gave away $25,000 in gear for 2021. That's
We
just
did.
phenomenal, man. Um,
5 anglers too. It was only 5 anglers that won all that stuff.
holy crap.
No, I'm kidding.
That's crazy.
I'm kidding. No, we had over 200 members. So yeah, we gave a lot of stuff to a lot of people.
Nice, nice. So looking up through here, some of the stuff, 15 tournaments y'all are doing. You got some per state. Talk about your tournaments if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we've got our regular tour events, our live events that are AOI points and all that. There's 15 of those, so 5 in each state. Although technically 3 of those are combined this year. We're doing one on the Columbia River in Lake Wallula, where we're taking all 3 of our divisions, each state, and we're meeting in one place, and we're all fishing together that day against each other. So we're expecting well over 100 anglers for that one. Should be a pretty cool event. That's the first time we've done that, where we've had all 3 divisions fish a tour event together. We've got these opens that we do, which is kind of neat. It's a way for us to try to get our new anglers involved. We do kind of sort of a pro-am style open that's not an AOI event, where anybody can come and fish. And we take a less experienced angler and we pair them up with a more experienced angler randomly. And then we send them out as a team to fish. And so the idea is that the more experienced angler can help them get on fish, show them how to measure fish, show them how to use Tourney X, help them figure out all that stuff that is difficult. And for that one, we sort of waive some of the rules about, assisting another angler and stuff, like grabbing their boat and helping them measure things. For that one, it doesn't really matter. But that's been a really successful way for us to get new anglers involved, because it's intimidating. If you don't know how to do any of this, doing it the first time when there's AOI on the line and money on the line and all this,
you get nervous.
Intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you're doing some online challenges, 27 this year. Is that
27 correct? Online challenges between the 3 states. We do them from March through October, really. When the weather, that's the only good weather we have here, really, for doing it. But yeah, that's been really successful for us. I'd love to dive into online challenges with you a little bit too, because we're doing something a little different than most on that. Then we do our championship in October. There's a bunch of different ways you can qualify for our championship. It's an invitational. And so you have to qualify to get into it, but then there's no entry fee. Last year we paid out, I think about $3,000 for first place. So it's a great event in the fall. And then we've got some events we're doing with other people too. We've got an NRS Open that we're planning up in Idaho. And then we'll talk about the native events that most of your listeners are probably already familiar with from listening to Vinny.
Yep. So let's get into those. You were talking about the online challenges. You wanted to dig into those. Let's talk about those for a minute.
Yeah, that's something Aaron had started, when he was running OKBF, which was the first of our groups. That was sort of his brainchild, as he had these themes that he was doing with some of the online challenges. And we continued that when I took over from Aaron. And then a couple of years ago, we really dug in and went heavy on the themes. And I feel like the regular monthly online challenge system, that people use is not really a sustainable model. It doesn't work very well, because what you have is people that will fish their favorite places all the time, day after day, week after week, month after month. And after you see those same people win 3, 4, 5 months in a row, it sort of takes the wind out of other anglers' sails, and they just don't want to even try to compete.
I hear that a lot, by the way. Yeah.
There are those people that are retired or independently wealthy and can fish as much as they want, lucky bastards. But most of us can't do that. And so we have a bunch of different themes that we do that break up some of those patterns that people get into. So one thing we do is what we call the pick your day, which is a multi-day is what you call it, or a single
multi-day.
Single multi-day, which is an oxymoron, but we won't go
whatever.
We call it a pick your day, where we give them 5 days to pick from, and you fish one of those days. Well, that's great for those people that work on the weekend or can't get out and fish, 8, 10 times in a month. Well, if we do a pick your day for 1 month, then all you got to do is fish one day, and you can pick the day you want it to be. It's great. We have our season long. We do that a little different too, where we call it 50-50. It's 5 smallmouth and 5 largemouth, and you got to catch 5 of each. If you get 5 great largemouth, but no smallmouth or smallmouth, there's no way you can win.
Oh, wow.
You got to catch 5 of each species. And we couldn't do that without Tourney X either, because of your specific species cull, where I can go in and create a cull for each species. I just go into Tourney X, turn that on, and do 5 largemouth, 5 smallmouth, and Tourney X takes care of it for me. I don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, it'd be a pain in the butt for me to try to track that without Tourney X doing it for me.
Well, I want to throw something out there. That multi-single day, pick your day type of tournament, we built that. We had a customer call us, and it's Grubby, which is grassroots bass.
Sure.
I can't remember what it stands for. I'm so sorry. But anyway, Grubby calls Jim Strunk. I want to throw a shout out to Jim, because Jim called us up one day and he says, "Hey, Dwayne, we want to do this." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And so, we sat down and put our heads together, decide. And he said it's because, people work on weekends, or people work on weekdays, and they can't just go out and fish when they want to, fish on the weekends. Everybody doesn't have the weekends off, like you said. So you've now you kind of got the best of both worlds. We've thought about extending it to 7 days instead of the 5 days. We might do that in the future, which is just a couple of things we can change to do a full 7 days. And that way you can encompass that whole week, and then they can choose when they want to fish, and one more thing we did, by the way, and you may not know this, but we set it up where the angler can actually switch a day. Now they can go in and make a switch to their day before the tournament starts.
Oh, they can do it themselves?
Yes.
Oh, that's great, because we do it for them manually, but it's a bit of a pain.
You do it through the website. We don't do it through the app. Remember, the app is only for submissions and whatnots and checking your standings.
Sure.
But on the website, in the dashboard, if you are signed up for a multi-single day, pick your day, whatever you want to call it, and you've already picked a day, and that day comes up with lightning and thunder and rain and what have you, it's a crappy day, and it's coming, and you can see it like a week in advance. You're like, sure. I really want to move that day to another day, so I make sure I can fish. You can hop in and make your changes and resave it, and you're done. You don't have to call a director or do anything. Now,
I got to change my rules.
There you go.
I've got a rule for that, but they've got to contact us, give us enough time to change it for them. So now, if they can do it themselves, that's awesome.
Yep. Jim had called me. Jim and I can't think who, but anyway, Jim had called me up and said, "Hey, man, we'd love to make these changes if we could." And so we kicked it around, and we just nailed it out real quick. Which is one thing we like to do. We'd love to work with our directors and our anglers as much as we can. When they have an idea and it's going to suit all our needs, we're going to make that step out there, and we're going to make those changes. And we've tried to do that for the past 7 years, and I hope we can continue to do that. So
we couldn't do what we do without Tourney X, without what you've done for us with Tourney X. My ability to just pick up the phone and call you and give you ideas about things that we want to do, and you implement them in short order for us. I couldn't get that anywhere else. And it's been the savior for our online challenges. It really has. We've got 1 month they can only do ponds. So up to 200 acres. That's it. That's all you can fish. Another one, you can only do rivers. So, 1 month is just smallmouth. 1 month is largemouth. So the people who have a strength in one thing, 1 month, they're going to have to get outside their comfort zone and go fish places they don't usually fish different techniques that they don't usually fish. And our goal there is just to make a more well-rounded angler that really proves they can fish in multiple conditions, multi-species, all that. And it's been really successful for us. Oregon's been doing it a long time, and we've got good numbers on our online challenges, and Washington and Idaho are doing well too, and growing.
Give us some idea of fish size up that way, because I know it's like a world away for us.
Yeah, well,
California's
largemouth
its own,
especially.
California's its own thing, but Oregon up that way. And I've been there once. So me and my wife traveled up. We flew into Seattle, went down to Rainier and made the loop, and went up to Port Angeles and did that, and came. It was really, really. And I tell you, if you haven't been to Oregon, if you haven't been to Washington State and Oregon and places like that, and out on the West Coast up that way, it's gorgeous. It really is.
It's beautiful. It's really a beautiful place. And the fish, it's a little different. I lived in Arizona before I moved out here for over 20 years. And, the largemouth in Arizona get huge. It's like Southern California or Texas, very similar. My personal best there was a 25-inch bass that was in the first Tourney X event that I ever did. I think we were talking about that before, 2015, 2016, whatever that first year was that you guys were doing it. And I caught my personal best in that tournament, in that online tournament, which was amazing. And I won the tournament, of course.
Wow, absolutely.
If you get a kicker like that, you're in pretty good shape. And, every year I'd catch a big, 8-pounder was normal to catch at least one 8-pounder every year there. And I'm sure it's the same in the South. I was born in the South, grew up a little in the South and the Northeast too. But coming up here, it's a different story. A largemouth here, a 7 or 8-pound largemouth here is an old fish. It is a big, they're not as long. Like you can catch an 8-pounder here that's only about 22, 23 inches long, but it's fat. And it's an old fish that's a little haggard and been through the ringer. So it's a little bit of a challenge because those largemouth really like warm water, and it's a little colder up here. Smallmouth are another story though. In the Columbia River or the Snake River, Dworshak Reservoir, some of these places, 21, 22, even 23-inch smallmouth I've seen. Last year, one of our guys caught the biggest largemouth and the biggest smallmouth in 1 year. And the smallmouth was 22 and a half, 22 and a quarter, one of the two. And the largemouth was 23 and a quarter.
Have you noticed over the years the fish actually getting larger? Have you noticed? Of course, I can't really say that because you caught 25 back in 2015. But
I've only been here in Oregon since 2017, so I don't have a good sense for that yet. But from the folks that fish with us that I've talked to, I haven't picked up anything like that. Because we're getting bigger and there's more people fishing kayak tournaments, our fish are getting bigger. Our 2 records were caught last year. Those 2 I mentioned that David Melendez caught. Those were records for us because one of them tied a record and one of them beat the record. And I think that's just from the volume of anglers that we have fishing.
Right. I often wonder with the kind of the so-called conservation that we're doing with catch, photo, release, is it improving the health of the fish, by, releasing them right back into their habitat? I'm sure it is. It has to be. But
I just heard from the biologist for Oregon last week. He and I were talking, and for our fish and game department, and he was saying he's seeing more and more catch and release tournaments, even with the bass boat world. They're doing more CPR stuff, and they love it. When I talk to the bios, they're like, "This is great." And whenever I send a report in, like Washington has pretty strict regimen about you got to send a report of everything you caught and everything you've done. And I sent them a link to the Tourney X leaderboard, and they're just like, "This is fantastic. This is awesome. Cool. We can see all the fish." And they don't get that from bass boat tournaments. They don't get that kind of detail.
That's cool. So what? I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. So let's say you got a new director coming in, not in your area, but just in the field, and he's wanting to start up. What kind of advice would you give that person just starting up?
It depends on whether you want to do, whether you want to just have a kind of a small event for buddies that's more of a club kind of thing. If you're doing that, have fun. Just have fun and make sure you're treating people right. But if you want to run a series where you're getting sponsorship and you're giving out lots of money and all this stuff, you got to run that as a business. You really have to run it as a business. We're an LLC up here, and there's all kinds of taxes and insurance and permitting headaches. There's all these things that you have to deal with, and a lot of it costs money. It's not, it's not like a cheap free thing. There's printing, there's trophies, awards, all this stuff. So you've got to generate enough money to do all that and do it in a way where the anglers are digging it and you're making a good impression on them and your numbers are growing. But yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice, is run it like a business. And then the next biggest piece of advice for any tournament director is be completely transparent. Tell them what the payouts are going to be. Tell them what you're taking out of it for Tourney X and for PayPal and whatever other fees, insurance and everything else, permits. Break it all down and tell them what you're doing, and just pay people on time. Don't mess around with paying people, because that is the kiss of death.
Yeah. So this leads me into another little something, because I really didn't think about this till this one particular person was asking me a bunch of questions about it. They actually started a group, and so do you run that LLC as a single member LLC, or do you run it as a partnership with anyone? Or, I know what my answer is going to be, but I don't know what your answer is. And there's a lot of folks out there that, I need help. But then do you incorporate that help as a partners, or do you, you know what I'm getting at?
It's just me. The LLC is just me. Saying that, though, I've got a large group of people that I work with. Over up in Washington, I've got Jim Davis is my tournament director up there. In Idaho, Chris Bordis is my tournament director. I've got 2 assistant tournament directors here, Kagan Pankratz and Matt Burdick. Washington's got Patrick Kelly. We're working on an assistant for Chris. And then we've got other volunteers who help us with photography, who help us run the events, put up the tents and do all that kind of stuff. We've got a large group of people, and they're all very quick to pitch in and help whenever we need it. And if I didn't have that, I couldn't do it, because the size that we are and the way we're growing, that's just a recipe for burnout. If you're one of these people that's running your event and you're doing everything, 2-3 years into it, you're going to be hurting. You're going to be, if it's 20 people and that's all you ever have to do, no problem. But if you're going to try and grow it, you'll burn yourself out, where you just get sick of it and you don't want to do it anymore. So that's the other piece of advice I have, is find people that are willing to help and give them a voice. I own the LLC, but that doesn't mean I make all the decisions. In fact, I try not to whenever I can. I try to let the group make the decisions,
So do y'all have like Zoom meetings, often?
Totally.
Zoom meetings?
Yep. We just did our captain's meeting, Zoom meeting the other night. But yeah, me and the other 2 directors, we're talking all the time.
Communication's key.
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever we have a question, and we butt heads. There are times that we just do not agree about the way something should happen. But the beauty of it is we've got 3 tournament directors. So between the 3 of us, we take a vote, and if somebody doesn't get their way, and sometimes that's me. Sometimes I don't get my way, and I'm like, that's not what I want, but you guys believe in it, so yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Steve Fields just posted. He said tournament directors usually hit the wall at 5 years.
5 years is a long time to do this because it's a time suck.
Look, 8 years is a long time to do this. But I enjoy talking to people like yourself, like Steve. And I mean, I call Steve once or twice a month. We visit. There's a lot of Tyler Caldwell. We talk a lot. He's down at Bayou Coast. We do a lot of changes for them. Andrew Cameron, he's on there. We talk a little bit. Steve Shank, we talk a little bit. So honestly, I talk to a lot of folks. I like to call and visit and just hang out and well, quite frankly, vent sometimes, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, you have to get that off your chest. You have to talk a little bit. And not only that, talk about ideas, about what the market needs, about what anglers need, what directors need. I was talking to AJ yesterday. AJ was driving home from the Hobie Steers over at Toledo Bend. We talked for 45 minutes. He threw across a couple of things that he would like to see, and we're going to probably try to do those things. So I enjoy the communication part of it, and you and I talked about this. There are other entities that you probably couldn't do that with, and we certainly appreciate the calls. I mean, my phone's always open. Anybody needs me, they call me.
Well, that's what stands Tourney X apart from everybody else, in my opinion, is the customer service. It's just you take care of people. And you'll tell me straight up sometimes, like I'll say, how about this feature? And you're like, well, that feature is going to cost X amount of dollars for me to implement, and I'm not sure how many people are going to use it other than you. So maybe not. Well, but you be honest with me about it. But a lot of other stuff, you're like, yeah, I think a lot of people would use that.
I'm one of the guys that just doesn't know how to say no. But and I hate to say it, just no. But
guilty. Me too.
Well, and then you look at return on investment. You got to look. I mean, was Tourney X considered a business back in the day? Back in the day in 2014, absolutely. Not. It was a hobby, but now it's like one guy put it, it's got its grown legs. It's like a monster that gets up and walks around now, and so to be able to feed it, we've got to make sure we keep the ball rolling. We got to talk about what we want. We got to talk about what our needs are. And we got to make sure it's good for the market. Got to make sure it's in a return on investment, because we got to spend money to make that happen. Sure. And all that, it's no different than what you're doing up there, making changes to tournaments, making changes to directors, making changes to this and that. Is it going to benefit you or benefit your group? You have to make those decisions, right?
That's right. And it's an impossible situation. We talk about it all the time. You can't make everybody happy. There's no way you can make everybody happy. So I just have to go with the group consensus and try and make the most people happy that I can. Dating app. That's a new idea. New idea for Tourney X. We're going to see those ads now. I don't want to see those ads in my Tourney X feed.
Oh, no. Dang, Steve.
He's got nothing else to do. That love to fish. It'd be all men. It'd be mostly men and a couple of women that would just get hammered by all these men trying to ask them out.
Oh, my gosh.
We need to get more women involved in this sport, and we're trying to do it. We've got a handful here in all 3 states. We've got some women that fish with us. Some of them do really well too.
Look, I will tell you what, Erin Mathis up that way. She's been really good. She's just a genuine person, and I could not shout out enough about Erin. Okay, anytime I've ever needed something, she has always jumped and says, "I'm here for you, no problems." She runs these youth events and we actually been ponying up free events for those guys for years. Okay, because I feel like, if she's putting forth the effort, her free time to do these things for these youth, then I'm going to pony up, and allow them to run them. And that's just we got to give to get. And the get part is the pride of seeing these kids catch these fish and be out there competing. It's just so much fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. We do a we do a charity event every year that we raise money for Heroes on the Water. And we raised over $3,000 last year. That was a record for us. And man, it's just fantastic. I was involved with Heroes on the Water when I was in Arizona. I helped run the chapter there. And man, it's just great getting out of the water with these vets and first responders and seeing their issues disappear the minute they get out there and you get them on fish. I mean, getting people on their personal best or getting them out there for the first time fishing and catching fish, it's pretty cool. But yeah, Erin's awesome. She does a great job over there. She and I talk all the time. And if we need help or need questions or anything, we can bounce it off of each other. That's something I think we're lacking, is more communication and cooperation between all of our different entities. And that sort of leads me into the West Coast Championship, because that's what that's about. Is last year we did the first West Coast Championship down in Clear Lake, California. It was really James Snyder from Yakabass NorCal. It was his idea, and it's James and Mark Chrisman from SoCal Kayak Anglers and me up here Kayak Fishing Northwest. So we've kind of got the whole West Coast there between the three of us, and we just started working on this idea to do this championship. And right now we've got 7 different clubs from 6 different states, I guess it is. And we had 104 anglers fished it last year. Mike Lavoie won. He had big bass both days, and he won the event, and he had a bunch of side pots. He won over 10 grand. And we're doing this all independently, organically, grassroots. We're not a big organization. We're just collaborating with all these other clubs to put on this event where they've got some reason to send some of their anglers up and fish Clear Lake, which everybody ought to fish sometime anyway, because it's fantastic.
Cool. I was reading in there, y'all give out citation pins and all this kind of stuff.
I do that up here in KFNW. I'm not wearing mine, but yeah, we give away, if you catch a smallmouth that's anywhere in KFNW, if you're fishing one of our tour events or one of our online challenges, not our opens, but our regular sanctioned events, if you catch a smallmouth 19 inches or bigger, you get a pin. And if you catch a largemouth 20 inches or bigger, you get a pin. I'm sort of ripping off. Ohio does a pin thing like that. There are a few states that do them, state fish and game divisions that will do that. You send in proof of your fish, and they send you a pin that year. So that's sort of what we do. I gave away a bunch of pins we've been doing that 2 years, and I sent out a bunch of pins this year for last season.
That's cool. Just a little something.
It's fun, and they're cool. They're neat little pins. They've got our logo, and they got the shield and a little smallmouth or a little largemouth on there. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. So hey guys, just so if y'all want to throw some questions out in here, I'm watching the comments come in. If you got any questions for Marvin or myself, just go just put them in the comment box, and we'll either answer them in here as we go, or we'll answer them later on after the show. Yeah, we're talking to Marvin Forte from up at the Pacific Northwest, as we said earlier. He's running basically his 3 divisions in 3 different states, over 200 anglers, 200 plus anglers. And I mean, you're projecting more this year, you hope? Is that correct?
It's looking like it. I mean, our first online starts March 1st, and our first live events start middle of April. So we're still a couple of months out from doing any live events. But last year we saw huge growth. We went out and got some sponsors to bring us in cash, because we realized that was the key to growing, is we needed to increase our payouts more than we could by getting more anglers, or by charging anglers a lot more. We charge $50 for a tour event, which is totally reasonable. So by bringing in those cash sponsors, we were able to really raise our participation. And this year it's kind of looking like the same thing. We're seeing a lot of new names signing up for memberships already. People we don't know that haven't fished with us before. So I think it's going to be another big growth year for us. We made double our numbers again. We more than doubled them last year.
Cool. Frank just posted. He said, "Great job." He said he wanted to chat with you sometime. I think Frank is he's a Slayer's head honcho. We're gonna have him on the show soon, and
Nice.
he is a hoot to talk to. I'll tell you.
Good.
I'm just gonna sit back and let him talk. But yeah, we've got about I was looking back. We're right around the 77,000 user mark, give or take. But we've got now. There's a lot of users that just come in and they'll make and it's not always just fishing people. They'll come in. And there's some spammers that come in. We have that. You're going to have that with open registration, things like that.
Sure.
But we've got I think I counted nearly 1,100 tournament directors over the past 8 years. That's either come and gone or what have you. So we're excited about where we're going. We're excited about what you guys got going up that way, and we're always willing to listen to what your needs are and help you guys out to grow and
we love you for it.
See the thing go in the right direction. So, well, anything else you want to talk about that you got on your mind?
Yeah, the Native Watercraft event coming up. We've got our 5 events that are going on this year. The Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour.
Oh yeah, which we made something happen for that too, by the way.
That's what I was hinting at when I said that. Is yeah, you totally customize, because I started doing the work, like trying to do it in spreadsheets and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this is a pain trying to figure out the biggest bass every hour. Because we're giving away, if we get the numbers for signups where they're supposed to be, 100 anglers or more, we'll give away $1,000 every hour for the big bass. And we're doing it as a no limit tournament as well, with a 14-inch minimum. And the idea behind that, the reason we did that is we were like, what can we do to try and not intimidate anglers out of it? Because we're not trying to be, this Native series is not trying to be a big pro event series, right, like some of the others. That's not what we're shooting for. We want anybody to come out and fish with us at those events. And you know what? Anybody can get lucky and hook one huge fish during the day and get the biggest fish in that hour. I mean, you got a good shot at $1,000 by doing that.
And that is based on time taken, not time submitted.
That's right.
People need to understand.
That's right. That's critical.
We rewrote some software that will be looking at your time taken numbers, not your time submitted numbers. Also, the leaderboard will not show any fish. You will not see not one fish on the leaderboard, which is going to be really odd for people. What you will see is the total, and it is an unlimited event. You're going to see numbers. You'll see 200, 300, 400 inches if somebody's having a good day catching a whole bunch of fish. Now, are y'all going to pay out? Now, first question is that going to be a live event at one lake that you're going to have or is it going to be?
It's different in every state. Vinny did it with designated lakes that you could pick, and they did it more kind of like an online event. But then they did a Zoom weigh-in award ceremony where he announced the winners and everything, and that was great. It was really successful and worked really well for him. Ours up here, we're doing as a live event at Potholes Reservoir in Washington. My native buddy, Marvin Goda, he and I are the two native Marvins. He's doing his down at Lake Berryessa on April 2nd. Ours is July 30th. And then Will Bonini's doing the one on the Susquehanna. Vinny's doing North Carolina again. And his is going to, again, be designated lakes, but sort of more of an online event. And then Chris Cantwell up in Michigan, or as Vinny likes to call it, Canada, is going to be doing one of the Great Lakes. So that's a live event as well. So most of them are live events. We considered doing it more online up here, but it'll be fun to get everybody out on Potholes, which is a big reservoir in Washington, and light it up.
So will that be, so not only will they win per hour, but they'll also win something overall length as well?
That's right. If we get 125 anglers, I think our payouts are supposed to be $2,500, something like that, for all the top anglers. So yeah, it'll work like a regular no limit tournament where the total length is going to win as well. But instead of having just one big bass, you've got a bunch of big bass for every hour that the event is going on. And we're giving away 3 kayaks. I think 3 Propel kayaks. Maybe one of them's a Falcon, a paddle kayak. I'm not sure. It depends on our numbers again, whether we can give all those away, but we're definitely giving away some native kayaks as well.
So kind of picture the leaderboard. You got your names on the left, of course. Your rankings are on the left, and you've got just on the right hand side, you've got just the inches, total inches.
Totally. I mean, we couldn't have done it without. I mean, we could have done it. We would have turned the leaderboard off. That's what we were going to do. Until
at the end of the event, now at the end of you got a button there. We put a button there to turn all this stuff on like it is, and at the end of the event, when it's all over and the payouts are all done, they're going to flip it on, and you'll be able to go back and look at all the fish.
That's right.
And it'll be probably the top 5 fish of the unlimited batch, top 5, top 7. I'm not sure whatever they choose, because it isn't unlimited, but you have to, the leaderboard can only show so many fish. We can't show 300 fish. So so you'll be able to see your top 5 or top 7, and you'll get to actually see the big bass. You just click on the big bass tab and it'll show you all the big bass per hour. So it'll look just like a normal tournament leaderboard at the end of the tournament, but during the event, you're not going to know who's catching what. You're just going to be able to watch just what the totals are going up, and then they'll do the award ceremony. And then they'll flip the leaderboard back on. So
and that was critical for us to be able to go live we couldn't go live with the leaderboard otherwise because of that big bass. We didn't want people looking at the leaderboard and holding the bass saying, oh, well, it's 11:55. If I hold this somebody's already beat me this hour. So if I hold this fish for 5 minutes and then submit it, then take my picture and submit it, then maybe I'll have a shot at the next hour. We don't want people doing that kind of stuff. It's forbidden in the rules. You're not allowed to, but we wanted to make sure that Tourney X could help us make sure that people don't do the wrong thing. And
it's great. Even cooler than that is switch the identifier every hour.
The code, service is always the challenge with that. If we had great service, I mean, it's like the check-in feature, right? Like I would love to use the check-in feature at all our events, but up here in the Northwest, I would say 2/3, 3/4 of our events, we don't have good service. It's spotty service. So I can't really rely on it.
That's why people have asked us, why don't you make that mandatory? This, that, and other. And I said, guys, listen, there's a lot of things that you don't, that people are like, yeah, that's a great idea. But there's a lot of issues out there that we can't,
technically,
you can't do because it's not the perfect world. Right. No. And so we're going to give you the option to, you make it mandatory. Sure. And then you as the director can choose and deal with ramifications of it if it doesn't work on that. I'm just saying if your guys don't get checked in, you can talk with those people and figure out what's going on. But we're just providing the tools. We're not going to stop people from submitting fish. We're just going to let you know when they got submitted. We know, what I'm saying.
Totally. We're going to use it everywhere we can. That check-in feature and that first event I was talking about, where we expect a lot of anglers on the Columbia River. I mean, that's right near the Tri-Cities. We'll have great service there. So we will use it there. And I expect our live leaderboard to be pretty good for that event. You should see a lot of fish going up. But yeah, we'll use it whenever we can. And we're going to start having, I've talked to you about this a little, we're going to start doing picture submissions for their check-in as well. We want to see them.
And we're working on that in the app too, in the near future, that when you click on check-in, you'll be able to click a button, take a photo, and be able to, like, if the director says, hey, we want to see the kayak, want to see your kayak, make sure there's nothing in it or something, and they could take a picture of your kayak, check in. Or maybe it's a road sign or something that's you have to go there to check in.
Sure. A ramp sign or something.
A ramp sign, right?
Some places do designated launches. I know Vinny does that, where he specifies only certain launches. So yeah, they could take a picture of the sign.
And we're already implementing, by the way, a personal best hero shot that we're working on.
Oh, I love that idea.
That anglers can actually go into the app. They can choose the event. They can upload their hero shot. Like if it's during an event, they want to post this one to Tourney X. You'll take a photo of it, upload it. It'll go into our website. Eventually, we're going to have it where it'll show it up on the website. For a certain period of time. I'll have to, I or someone in Tourney X will actually accept that image to make sure, and it'll go into the rotation. So you guys will get a little showtime, on Tourney X, which is kind of cool. So
see, I love that as a TD, because I go in and I go to the public side of the leaderboard and I grab the photos for the top fish, and they're great because they've got the Tourney X watermark on them and everything. And I post those on our results on our website and on social media as well. And that hero shot would be great. Sometimes I'll go looking through people's Facebook and try and find where they've posted a hero shot from that event. But that's sketchy. It's hard for me to count on that, and I may not get it. But if we build it right into Tourney X, that'll be awesome. I can get it out of there again. It'll have the Tourney X watermark on it.
What I'd like to do is have all the photos, all the hero shots go into the director's dashboard area somehow, that you can click a button, and if it's tied to one of your events, you can just go in and grab, say, oh yeah, there's Marvin, there's Dwayne, there's his hero shot. I'm gonna grab that one and post it, or there's that 24.5-inch bass, or there's, what I'm saying?
Totally, it can have Tourney X watermark, and then you can have what the event is,
the name of the event, right, everything there on the bottom with their name on it. Yeah,
perfect.
It's gonna be cool.
Perfect.
So just these little things, that mean a lot to folks, that they can just grab something and carry it with them. So, well, Marvin, it's been great. I'll tell you, man, I'm so glad you were able to come. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked me a minute ago, Dwayne, can others use that part of the software? Yes, you can. We did it for, we built it for these guys, these guys to utilize it, and it's open for everybody to use as well. Let's see what else
go out and find a sponsor that'll give you $25 for gift certificate for big bass every hour. It doesn't have to be $1,000 big bass. That's kind of hard to do, but yeah, use it in your locals.
All right, cool. Once again, Marvin, man, I tell you, it's been a pleasure. We talk all the time, and we shoot the bull all the time, and we bounce ideas all the time, but having you on here has been a great thing, and glad that you've been able to be successful in what you're doing, with the guys up in the Northwest, and hopefully we see that thing grow to 300 or 400 eventually. So,
I think we're going to be knocking on the door of 300 this year, and if not over, and 400s within a year or two.
Sweet. I've got to get off my duff and get that map out, because the last time I did the map thing where it shows all the population of all the people, and that's manual too, by the way. I just go through and like to piddle with that, but it shows.
Aaron did that here once before, and it's a lot of work, but
it is.
But yeah, it's cool.
I pull my database, and I'll just go through and sort by and I have to do it, of course, 50 times. I go through each state and just see how many are in each state that are signed up for that, and then I just pop those numbers in and
zip codes.
Yep. So I'm going to do that one of these days and see where we've come from 2018 to now. So it'd be kind of cool to see over the past 4 years. But
cool.
Marvin, once again, thanks for coming on board and talking with us. And with that being said, we're going to get out of here and go watch some TV. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. We appreciate it here on Tourney Talk. And we're looking at a couple of other people next couple of weeks, and just be watching for us on the Facebook page, and we'll get some lists out for you guys of who's coming on board next. Thank y'all again. Thank you, Marvin, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks.